Cool. Well, I think we're at 9 o'clock. Should we begin?
Let's do it. And I'm going to hit record on my end too, just in case. We have a backup, just in case something happens. So I'm excited. So Jonathan, it's okay. I'd love to introduce you to anyone who's not familiar with who you are. That's okay. Everybody on the call, you're in for a real treat. Jonathan and his partner, and Jonathan especially, is someone that I studied myself when I was first breaking into this world. So you have to imagine 10 years ago, things were very different than they are today. There were fewer people to follow. There were fewer people who had the level of expertise that could really help you get to the next level in your business. And Jonathan was one of these people. In fact, he might talk about this, but I think he was the creator or inventor of the term the squeeze page, which we all know as a page for acquiring a name and email. And what's interesting is my mentor, Dr. Glenn Livingston, who wrote the foreword to Ask, and I've talked about Dr. Glenn quite a bit, also counts Jonathan as one of his mentors. So if you think of, Anakin Skywalker learning from Obi-Wan Kenobi and Obi-Wan Kenobi learning from Yoda, if Dr. Glenn is Obi-Wan Kenobi, Jonathan is Yoda, okay? So what we're going to be talking about today specifically is how to use email traffic to generate leads, make sales, collect survey data, and generate long-term income. And I'm going to be turning this over to Jonathan. He's going to be running the show, but I do want to mention just a few things real quick. Number one, and Jonathan will talk about this, we ran, using Jonathan's methodology, his process to acquire deep dive survey data in a market where we have no list. And I know who's interested in how to get that deep dive survey data if you do not have a list. If you're interested, type hell yeah in the chat, because we're going to be revealing the actual case study, real numbers, how we actually did it, the exact amount of money that we spent, and exactly how much data we got back. So we're going to talk about that, which I know you're really excited about. And then one last thing that I want to mention before I turn it over to Jonathan is I want to mention that this webinar is one that is available and open to my audience at large. So this is unlike one of the Next Level Mastermind webinars that you might have been part of. Maybe you were at the one that I did last week. Those webinars are training only. They are 100% pitch free, and we run the chat inside the Next Level Mastermind Facebook group. Because this webinar is open to my audience at large, that includes people who are not in the Next Level Mastermind, we'll be running the chat in GoToWebinar, and at the end of this, there will be an invitation if you would like to go deeper with Jonathan and learn his methodology in more detail. I just want to be very upfront about that, because I know in NLM I promise that the webinars are 100% pitch free, and I want you to understand that that promise is being honored. This is a different kind of webinar where there will be a lot of training. We are going to reveal the case study, but this is available to members as well as non-members. So with that being said, I'm super excited for today. I'm going to be here live the whole time. I'll be popping in and out as Jonathan needs me, but with that being said, Jonathan, let me turn it over to you, and let's take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. So honored to be here and to work with you guys. And also really honored to know that people who are way smarter than me have actually learned stuff from me. So thank you very, very much. Okay, so I'm not a one-man show. Sometimes I feel like I am, but I do have a big staff of people. I think we have 8 people now. And I want to just briefly introduce my business partner, Tim, who's going to be working in the background. Tim, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Well, hey, everybody. This is Tim, and just wanted to say a quick hello. I'll mostly be working behind the scenes of the webinar, as Jonathan said, so you won't hear too much from me. But in this webinar, we're going to show you how email traffic can help you attract and get more customers. And we'll be talking about which markets are the most responsive niches and how to find targeted, rentable mailing lists for whatever niches that you're in. You'll also see how we're using email to do deep dive surveys, as Ryan said, and talk about the results of our recent deep dive case study, which I think you're going to find really interesting. There are 5 parts to this presentation. First, why you should listen to us. Jonathan and I have both been doing this for a long time, and we want you to benefit from everything that we've achieved and everything we've learned. Second, we'll be covering the core email traffic concepts. What we're going to be sharing with you is pretty easy in one sense, although there are some complex factors you need to be aware of for it to work as well as possible. Third, implementation. We'll be giving you some nuts and bolts training on how to start applying this yourself. And fourth, live Q&A. We'll be going through the questions you asked during the webinar and answering them for you. And if you have any question as things are going along, there is a question box, and you can just type in your question, and we'll get to as many of those as we can towards the end of the webinar. And finally, we'll be revealing some of our deep dive case study results. So, Jonathan, if you're ready, I'll pass it back to you. Are you there?
I sure am. Thank you so much, Tim. I want to start out by talking a little bit who this webinar is for. We created this webinar and this content based on requests and feedback from real clients, startups, and business owners. We actually did our own deep dive survey on our list and on a lot of our existing prospects. And we created it specifically for a group of people. So if you are an information marketer, like a course creator, or you sell info products of any kind, if you're a software as a service developer or an app creator, or if you're an e-commerce business, maybe you're an Amazon business, or maybe you just sell physical stuff, doesn't matter. This is going to be good information for you, information that's going to really help you take your business to the next level. If you do any affiliate marketing, or even if you're just doing it as an adjunct to your business, selling third-party products, we're going to give you some actionable information that you can use today at the end of this presentation to run deep dive surveys, to generate leads, and to make sales. So let's talk a little bit about who we are.
Jonathan,
yeah.
do you mind if there's one other group of people that I think would be on this call that I think would also benefit from this, and that's someone who would consider themselves a coach or a consultant. So if you're in the coaching business or you're a consultant, especially as we go through the deep dive, and if you don't have a list and you're wondering, how do I get more clients, how do I build my practice, you're going to see, and Jonathan's going to show you, because I've had a preview of what he's going to show you, how you can use email and specifically other people's lists to virtually fill your coaching or consulting practice without having any audience of your own. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear as well, because I know we've got some coaches and consultants who are listening in as well.
Thank you, Ryan. I normally include those or think of coaches as information marketers, but definitely calling them out is good because it just lets them know that this information is applicable to them, especially when we talk about market research and deep dive surveys and getting information from your list or getting information from a specific audience. So a lot of you guys are familiar with me. I've been out in the internet marketing field for a very long time. My business partner Tim and I are serial entrepreneurs. We've been creating and running businesses for just over 2 decades right now. And man, that's a long time. Just for the hell of it, I want to go ahead, type in to the question box how long you've been marketing and selling online. I'm kind of curious, love to get a little handle on that. What do we got here? All right. Everything from 2 years to 6 months, total newbie, very good. 7 years, 2 years, 10 years, 12 months, since 1999. Okay, good. I want to get just an idea of everybody's skill level. So there's going to be a lot of information for you if you're new or if you are have been doing this for a while. So in the last 20 years, Tim and I have become kind of de facto experts. And we haven't become experts because we've read some books and things like that. It's because we've actually done it. We have run thousands and thousands of successful campaigns. I've set up co-ops. I've rented lists. I've brokered traffic. You name it. Probably we have sent in the neighborhood of 3 to 5 billion with a B commercial emails each. We're trying to add it up, and I know Tim and I were, at one time we were sending between 20 and 30 million pieces of commercial opt-in email a week. So, you know, we didn't get this information from the library or online. We got it from actually doing it. Everything we do, everything we recommend and teach is 100% opt-in. It's verified, and it's really important that I say this. It's respectful to the users. You know, that's a big one. We don't believe in spam, and we are not, you know, encouraging it in any way. Our goal with email marketing, with all our traffic sources, in fact, but especially with email, is to create a great relationship with prospects. We don't want to annoy people. So we take respect and user experience and put that in the forefront of everything we do. And that means no black hat, everything above board. We always follow the law. You know, it's so easy to make money legally. You don't need any of those shenanigans. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. I've been a campaign strategist for quite a few companies and email networks, and I've created hundreds of email campaigns for a lot of the startups and major online players, going back to the .com days, actually. PCH, Publishers Clearinghouse, you guys I'm sure have heard of that, Microsoft, Target, American Express, Intel. You name it, we've done a lot of campaigns, and what's been so great is that not only did we get to create the campaign and actually send it out or be part of the sending of it, but we got a chance to look at it, you know, 2, 3, 5 days after the fact to see what the results were. And that's given us good data points in terms of what gets opened and what gets clicked and what gets responded to. So a lot of experience backing up this information. I threw this slide in just for kicks. I thought it would be fun. I bought my first domain 20 years ago, cyberwave.com. That's such a like 90s domain. I wish I'd bought, you know, hotels.com or something. I didn't, but you can see the date of registration was 1994. So we're not trying to brag, we just want to say we know our stuff. So, over the last 20 years, Tim and I have built multiple companies. We've done it in health, we've done it in surveys, we've done it in home business, but you know, in addition to that stuff, we've also worked with lots of people. We had our own coaching club for a couple of years. Tim used to run the mastermind group online, and we work with people in financial and self-help and fitness and more recently hosting and dating and you name it. We have vast experience in many different fields. And we've also become real lovers of traffic. Someone said to me at a seminar recently, they said, that dude never met a click he didn't like. And it's true. If it's a real click, I'll figure out a way to make money with it. I'll figure out a process or a funnel. But when I look at the #1 way that has made me personally most of my money, put the money in the bank, it's got to be targeted opt-in email marketing. I'm talking about renting a mailing list from a legitimate network or through an established broker, or my favorite way, which we're going to get into in a little bit, working with a list owner direct. And I'm guessing that no matter what you sell or what you do, there are probably hundreds to thousands of potential lists that you can mail to. So our secret, if you will, is pretty simple. We basically find lists and we enter into a business relationship with them. We'll talk about how that relationship works, but we're talking about, again, networks, owners, and people who mail to clients on your behalf. Now, some people get confused and they think, well, if I rent this list or get this list, how do I mail it? We're not in any way, shape, or form talking about you getting a list and mailing it. No, that's like spam, and that can get you into trouble, and there are a lot of issues with that. What we're talking about is someone mailing on your behalf. I just want to make very, very clear that that's what we're talking about. There's two main reasons you don't want to be the guy mailing. You want them to be the mailer. The first one is they know how to get their mail out. They collected this list and they mail to it all the time. And so they're going to be the experts at it. And also, they are legally able to mail it because it's their list. You might be, but you probably aren't. You face all kinds of spam issues and other stuff. The other big reason is when someone mails on your behalf, there is what we call an implied endorsement. And that endorsement basically says, I recommend this guy. So even if Newsmax or Publishers Clearinghouse or Cool Savings or some big network mails for you, I don't know if there's like a personality behind Cool Savings, but there's this implied endorsement that if someone gets an email from Cool Savings or Publishers Clearinghouse, that they recommend you, and that's huge. And that's because it gives you direct access to the clients. So when everyone else in your niche is busy with PPC and social and all that stuff, you just go snatch up the customers direct. I also want to make something else clear. When we start a new business, and just like we did with this deep dive case study, which we're going to go through at the end, we did not have a list. We didn't take a list that we have and mail the deep dive case study to it. Now, if you have a list, great. You can totally use deep dive and you can totally get all that survey data, but you don't have to have a list in order to do that. In every single business that I've started, I started from scratch. I didn't have any list or any special advantage except for one, and that is the system that we use, and it's known as a self-liquidating offer. This is a very sophisticated audience, so I'm not going to presume that nobody knows what that is. Probably most of you guys know what a self-liquidating offer is. But if you don't, let me clarify that a self-liquidating offer is a customer acquisition machine. That's what it is. It's or Frank Kern would say, it's a customer getting machine, right? And how it works is really simple. You run a campaign, you buy some traffic. By the way, this works with email, it works with any kind of traffic, and you should always strive to create a self-liquidating offer in any business that you begin. It's my first step when I start a new business because it allows me to build up my list without spending a lot of cash. So you can see the little circle up there. You look at the top run campaign. You send that traffic into a squeeze page or a lead capture page or some page where the person's going to give you their information. They're going to opt into your list. And then after they opt in, you've got a thank you page. We don't use a thank you page. We send it straight to the sales page. And that sales page then sells people on whatever it is you're trying to sell them. We take the money that we make from that and we just go right back into running more campaigns. Well, that's the self-liquidation. You spend $100, hopefully you make some sales. If you're doing deep dive survey data, you get some survey data, and you want to make some portion of that money back. Ideally, you'd like to make a profit on everything that you do, but we all know that in this day and age with this much competition, what we usually strive for is just break even or close to it and get the data and build the list. That's the goal. Now, with regard to email marketing, I have to say, most of the experts out there, they don't even know this kind of traffic exists. So when you talk to a lot of those experts out there who are like traffic guys, they'll say that you cannot get email traffic unless you have your own list. Oh, and you have to spend years doing it, and it's really hard, and it's expensive and slow. There's this process called quote-unquote list building, and you have to list build for a few years before you can do anything else and blog and all that stuff. And listen, not true, okay? Totally not true. There are so many different lists you can test to see if they work with whatever you're selling, that in addition to your other traffic that you're using, and you should totally keep using the other traffic, I'm guessing that email marketing is going to work for, we find it works for 9 out of 10 of the people that we work with, that we consult with, that become, members of our tribe. The best thing about it, well, there's a couple of great things about it, but one of my favorite things is that the traffic is actually better than Google. One of our very first large-scale tests was with a network that had 6 million double opt-in email addresses for rent. Again, they would do the mailing for you, and you'd give them your ad, and that's exactly, by the way, what we did with the deep dive. We gave them an ad, they ran the ad, we drive the traffic into wherever we wanted to drive it into. In this case, we drove it into a sales page. In the deep dive, we drove it into a deep dive survey. You can drive it anywhere. Now, in our case, you can test these lists. You can test the whole thing, but we like to test small. So we never recommend that people are out, of pocket a lot of money as they're in the testing process. So when we did our first test with these guys, we saw much better traffic than Google. Better, and let me quantify that because I want to make sure that you get it. The clicks came in faster, they opted in at a higher rate, and they bought at a higher rate. So those are the three things we care about: speed, list building, and money. Okay? There's another big benefit we discovered, and that is email networks are going to be easy to do business with, certainly easier than some self-serve interface, out of Google's site or any network, really. Facebook is another one that they seem to be so passive-aggressive these days, where they're like, yeah, we want you to run your ads, and then a couple of days later they're like, we don't like that ad anymore. So, these networks want you to run their whole list, especially if you do a test, and a lot of them are reasonable. So if you want to promote a survey, which a lot of people do, we certainly start with a survey. If you want to run a squeeze page or a thin content landing pages or some sort of autoplay video or something like that, or even if you want a direct link, which I wouldn't recommend, but if you wanted to, you generally can do that with an email network. So my experience with email traffic made me realize a couple of things, three things actually. The first one, I just didn't need Google or Facebook anymore. I mean, I still use them, don't get me wrong. I own stock in the companies. I think they're great. But in terms of growing my own business, I like predictability, I like scalability, and I don't like surprises. I don't like to be slapped. I don't like to have minimum bids increased, any of that stuff. The next thing I realized, email is the best traffic source out there. I'll tell you why in a minute. And there are thousands of legitimate lists available to rent and trade where the owner will mail for you. Again, we're not talking about buying a CD and mailing out through some Chinese server. We're talking about legitimate lists available to rent. So as soon as we got into email marketing big, we grew our company big. And I remember we hired staff and added products. And we ended up in this one business, which was, we were in the paid survey market research business. We broke $4 million in sales in less than 15 months. And the best part was our list size just exploded because we used that self-liquidating offer process. Tom Kulzer from AWeber called me once because at the time we actually had one of the biggest lists with him. And I remember we got like 30,000 opt-ins in one day. And he's like, dude, what are you doing? And I said, we're marketing, man. And he was like, well, you're okay. There's not a lot of spam issues and everything's going good. And so, keep going, man, keep going. So we grew our list to over 2 million names, and that really created an annuity for us that would make money for years to come. I'll tell you about that in a sec. And then I needed a break. So I built this company, but I built it and I had like 3 partners and 9 employees and all these responsibilities. So I wanted to go into a state of semi-retirement. I ended up selling off that business, but I kept the list. Now, people say the money is in the list. And I should be proof positive of that because for nearly 4 years I lived entirely on the income I made, sending just a few offers a month to those prospects. My wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, she's like, what do you do? Like, I'd go into my office for a couple hours and I'd come out and say, okay, we're set for another month. So we spent years traveling around the world. I took up surfing. I taught myself to paint. I went fishing a lot, fly fishing, if you got any fly fishermen on the call, skiing. I even started writing a novel. Someday I'm going to finish that novel. Okay, it was an amazing time, and through it all, I earned enough money to live very, very well, to live on Maui, to buy a house. So the money is in the list. You build up a list, you've created an annuity. So a few years ago, you know, entrepreneurs have this like back and forth. We get really excited, we make a bunch of money, and then we want to quit. And then, so a couple of years ago, I decided that I was bored again, and I wanted to get back into the game. And I decided to conquer, or at least get into, the health niche. And I like health for a lot of reasons. One, it's a totally scalable market, and it allows me and Tim to apply our knowledge and skill to something that we love. So we did what we always do, because I didn't have a health list. And here I am wanting to get into health. I created a self-liquidating offer, real simple one, real easy with a squeeze page, made enough money to pay for the traffic, and I basically created this funnel that generated leads and gave me a little cash at the same time. And the real money, again, let's always remember, it comes from that back end, from that list that you're generating, from those relationships that you build when you're doing the self-liquidating process. So we sold all sorts of stuff at the beginning because, you know, I kind of wanted to just see what would sell. And I remember selling supplements and exercise equipment, and P90X was really big a few years ago, and we were selling Amazon offers. I started an Amazon store, actually. But last year, I decided to survey the market and really figure out who are these people and what do they want. You know, that's the deep dive survey, is in a nutshell. Who are they and what do they want? And what we found is that targeting females who are frustrated and tired of these diet programs that don't work was a huge niche. It's like a big, deep, massive, hungry market. So we really went big into female weight loss. We really learned what works. And when we got focused, Tim and I decided to really run some very targeted, specific email campaigns. We ran 16 of these campaigns, and we were surprised. I think it took a couple of months to run these. We were surprised how much we made, and we were surprised how much we learned, how the process evolved over time. So 16 campaigns is a lot of split testing data, and if you're interested in getting an inside look at those case studies, exactly what we did, you know, exactly how we ran it, the ads we used, the whole kit and caboodle, and how we run deep dive surveys to our list, then hang on. So I forgot to get my water, Tim. I'm going to run over and get some water. Are you there?
Yeah, no problem. Well, hey guys, it's Tim again. While Jonathan's doing that, just want to thank you guys for being on the webinar again. We're getting a lot of great questions, so definitely hang on for when we get to those in a bit towards the end of the webinar. Also, want to remind you guys that we're going to be giving you that info on the results of our deep dive case study at the end of this webinar. So you're definitely going to want to stick around for that. Jonathan, did that kill enough time for you to get some water?
Yes, sir. I realized I was staring at an empty bottle, so give it a little bit. Thanks, guys, for hanging on. Okay, I want to go over the core concepts right now. Because a lot of people wonder, where do you get the lists? Where do I find lists? You know, I'm familiar with Google. I'm familiar with Facebook. I'm familiar with maybe one or two other networks, but I want to get into email marketing. How do I do that? Okay, we've got what I call the 3 pillars of email traffic. And the very first pillar is simply commercially available lists. These are lists that were built to rent to you, maybe, or whoever contacts the network or broker in charge of them. And you've got networks out there. So you've got companies like PCH and Cool Savings and whatnot. We've talked about them before. And you've also got networks like Newsmax, this kind of a conservative, conservative channel Works well with all sorts of stuff, like everything from health offers to political offers to, you know, campaign stuff. I mean, there's a lot of different stuff that you can promote to email networks, and there are quite a few email networks out there. You've also got list brokers. So you've got people like InfoUSA, and Nextmark. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of that. You've also got these specialty brokers, brokers like Dedicated Emails. If you guys are in the survival niche or the BizOp niche, you probably heard of Dedicated Emails. Brian Littman runs that. Great guy. You can go ahead and contact someone like that, and these guys will not only help you get the traffic, they'll even look at your product, look at your funnel, give you a little bit of feedback. And then you've also got commercial lists like companies like MyPoints, and these are companies that use an advertising model. Pretty much all these are in that advertising model. Some of them have a secondary thing, but almost all commercial lists were built to either rent or monetize with offers. Now, you've also got what I call undercover and topical lists. And I'm going to give you a big, like, gimme here. And that is, if you're in a targeted niche, you should pay attention to the associations out there, because associations have been a huge source. My whole life I have spent, making money working with associations to monetize their list, and I've sold all kinds of stuff, insurance, I've sold financial products, you name it. And also industry lists that are like associations, but they're basically specialty lists. I'll give you an example, actually. The best example is probably AARP. AARP people think of as a American Association of Retired Persons list, but really it's a marketing list. And what they did is they built that entire list to monetize with offers, which is why they have so many offers. And if you're over 50, you now will start to get emails and mailings from them and that kind of stuff. But we had a client who was looking for architects. And she was like, how do we find architects? And we did look at all, some compiled lists and things like that. But I started to do a little searching for her. And it turns out that the AIA, the American Institute of Architects, actually has all these little subchapters. And we found a bunch of subchapters that rented their list, email list. They'll do the mailing for you for like $100, $200, really, really inexpensive. You've also got targeted e-zines. Whenever you find an e-zine, or whenever you find someone that is in your niche that is collecting information or building their list, you should always subscribe to that list and find out what they're mailing. I've gotten so many great leads on lists just by subscribing to lists in my niche or the niche that I'm working, and then looking at my spam box. Learn to love your spam. How's that? How's that for a big one? People are like, I don't like my spam. I don't like my spam either. I love it. Because my spam is people who have a list, and I can usually go to those people and rent that list or trade that list or work some deal with them where they will mail for me. And then you've also got a lot of these small publishers. We have one in Maui. It's like a new age publisher. I think it's like $175 maybe for 7,000 to 8,000 people. And, on a per email basis, I don't know what that comes to, but that's a pretty darn good deal. When you have someone that has a good relationship with their list, and you can give them $100 or $200 or $500 or whatever, and they'll mail that list for you, that's like gold. The third pillar is my favorite, and that's because it usually does not require you to pay any money up front. I like the affiliate model, the JV model, the rev share model, whatever you want to call it. And I like to take people who have lists and turn them into my affiliate. A lot of people have said, how do you get affiliates? And I'm like, that's not the way you want to approach it. You don't want to say, I need affiliates. What you should be looking at is who has lists. who has lists in my niche, because I'll rent them, I'll maybe do a joint venture with them, or maybe I'll turn them into my affiliate by default. But I don't ever say I need affiliates. What I say is I need people with lists. So the first one are these rev share opportunities. A lot of people have been trained that you want to send follow-ups, so they collect email, and then they have 4 or 5 or 10 or whatever follow-ups, right? They have some follow-ups. And after that 10th follow-up, after that last follow-up, that's it. They don't mail anything. So a lot of these lists have been mailed, a certain number of times, and the list owners don't expect, in some cases, even to make more money from them. And, a lot of people have been accused of over-mailing. They're like, oh, you can over-mail that, or he mails 3 times a day, or he mails 5 times a week, or whatever. That's the exception. I mean, I'm going to tell you, most people that build a list, and catch this, most people that build a list never mail it even once. Think about that. Think about every single person in your niche who has an Aweber or a GetResponse or an iContact or an Entreport or an Infusion account. Every single person, you are not asking them to mail for you. You are not asking them to be your affiliate. The approach is you're going to help them make more money with their list. Now you've completely shifted the whole mindset. So many of these guys are waiting for someone to contact them. You've also got businesses that target the same kind of customer. I want you to think the old school Chamber of Commerce, remember, where you get, like, you're an insurance agent, and so you want to meet with a CPA and a lawyer and a real estate broker and a money guy, and then you guys can all trade leads because you work the same kind of customer. Well, we've done that on a much bigger scale. We've done that with people who are, we call them co-opetition, because we target the same people, but we're not actually selling the same thing. And then this is a big one, because, and it's scary, so, let's take a deep breath before we even talk about this. Direct competitors. I want you to consider starting to work with your direct competitors, people who you maybe are nervous about or afraid of, or people who you're concerned that they're going to take your customers. Because in many niches, direct competitors work together, even people who sell the same thing. I was at a seminar a couple of years ago in Maui with, I can't say who, but Joe Sugarman and a bunch of top marketers were there. It was sponsored by a big nutritional company. And we were around the table, and all these guys sold the same product. They all sold diet pills, right? And I remember asking one, I'm like, why would you be friends with him? I mean, you guys are kind of a competition, right? And the guy said, yeah. He said, we're competition, but he's got a different funnel than me, and he's got a different approach than me, and his pages look different than me, and he's got a different price point and a different back end. So I rent lists, and I build my list up, and I sell whatever I sell to them. But after 5 or 6 times of mailing them, or a dozen times, I want to make money off of that name. So I go ahead and I let him mail. And then maybe he can make more money than me off of this list. Or maybe Jim over there has an offer. Or maybe Bob has an offer that will resonate more with that part of the audience. So I discovered that there was this huge list mastermind, I call it, in the health and fitness space. And then I discovered that there was one in the New Age and the self-help space. And there's one in the coaching space. Ryan talked about coaches, and coaches are one of those niches where, yeah, you're a little nervous because that person, has their own coaching program, but they've got leads who they've had on their list for sometimes 3-4 years, and those leads have never bought from them. So maybe you create an offer just for those kind of competitor offers. There's so much opportunity, and if you don't have a list mastermind in your niche, you should be the person to start one. You should be the guy or the woman to get and to start aggregating all the people in your niche and say, listen, we'd like to start mailing for each other. Maybe you're not even ready to do that. Let's just start a little Facebook group. It's basically a list mastermind where everyone grows together. That's probably like the biggest takeaway of this entire presentation, is that your competitors are your friends. And the lists that they have are better than any list that you can rent in the whole wide world, because those people have trusted relationships. And that's what email is about, tagging on to the trusted relationships. So we discussed email and why we love it. A couple of the reasons, and Ryan alluded to them. I'm going to go through them real quick. First of all, it's very fast. Usually get your response in 3 to 5 hours. Usually get 90% of your response in 24 hours. You know, this isn't the kind of thing where you buy an ad and wait, 3 or 4 weeks or anything like that. The people are predisposed to opting in. If someone opts into one list and then that list gets mailed and then the traffic goes to a squeeze page, that person is predisposed to opting in. That's really huge. People who opt in are different from people who don't opt in, and when you rent a list of people who've opted into that list, you get 100% of opter-inners, if that's such a word. The targeting is all self-selected. This is another huge one. No one sees your ad, clicks on it, opts in, goes to your sales page, and then sends you a customer support ticket that says, I'm not interested. If they're not interested, they delete the email. So what happens is you've got this wall where people have to get through. They have to be interested in what you're selling. But once they jump over that wall, now we know they're targeted. Now we know they're interested. There's another big one with especially Google. Facebook is less of a concern, but you see it on Facebook too, and that is this idea of competition. So if you go into Google and you type in a high competition phrase, right, with big commerce intent and things like that, like best diet plan or something like that, even if you're number one, even if you've paid all that money per click and you're bidding really high, you're still surrounded with 9 of your competitors. And that's why Google loves everyone to compete on the same terms, because when they do, it means that everyone's competing for these terms that are going to basically make their ads surrounded with competitors. With email, it doesn't happen that way. With email, you collect a name, you send them an email, and unless you include a link to your competitor in that email, it's just between you and the user. And the big one is there's fewer restrictions. Again, anybody who's been slapped, anyone who's had Facebook say no to their ad or had their minimum bids. We've had people have the minimum bids get increased. They're like, well, we'll still run your ad, but it's a $5 minimum bid now. That stuff is just that's crazy. And then the biggest problem is with a lot of the media sources, you're just not allowed to run a survey anymore. Just not allowed. Can't do it. But you can with email. And there's another big advantage to email, and that is anyone who's ever done any remarketing knows remarketing only works if the initial traffic that you send over is good. Since email traffic is, I think, the best, when you mix that with remarketing, like specifically Facebook is where we've had the most luck. When you take, I think Facebook has the best remarketing platform out there. This is what I found, okay? Maybe you found something different. But you take the best traffic and the best platform, bang, now you've really got something. Now you've got people excited. Now you can make money no matter what you're selling, whether it's a physical or a digital product or a coaching product or home and garden or whatever. I've never failed to get less than 50% ROI, and I usually get quite a bit more on my Facebook remarketing when I use a targeted email list to actually seed that remarketing list. So is email going to work for you? Because that's a big one. People always ask. They're like, I sell widgets, you know, but they're green widgets. So are the green, can you sell green widgets online? Okay, if you're an online business and you need leads, sales, downloads, or data, deep dive data, market research data, the answer is yes. You can break into a big niche like weight loss or investing, but you can even dominate an obscure niche like model trains simply by using that third pillar, simply by targeting the list owners who have you know, model train traffic. You spend some time on Google, get involved with that, that niche, and start to build that network. And you can't scale model trains like you can weight loss, but you can dominate it pretty high. Speaking of scaling up, if you're in a scalable niche, most of the lists out there are scalable, meaning that there's a lot of traffic available. So the answer is yes. Let's talk about scalable niches and scalable markets. Here's the big stuff: health and fitness, investing, home business, and self-help. There's a bunch of sub-niches down there, and there's probably thousands of sub-niches even below that. You could take health and fitness, go down to weight loss for women. You could further narrow it, weight loss for women over 40, further narrow it, weight loss for women over 40 who are more than 10 pounds overweight, who have diabetes. You can see that you can keep niching this out. But when you are in a scalable market, that's where you're going to find the inventory. Number 3 question we get is how much capital realistically does it take to get started? So it's going to depend on your niche, right? If you call Publishers Clearinghouse and you want to send your diet ad to them, it's going to be thousands and thousands of dollars. But you know, in many niches, in many cases, there are lists available for, you know, $200, $300, $500. One of our favorite lists has a minimum of, I think, $395. We'll go ahead and talk about that in the deep dive case study. I guess my point is, if you've got a successful business now, or if you're successfully running ads, if you're running Google or Facebook ads now, email is going to be a very easy traffic channel to add. And when you focus on that third pillar, when you focus on the JV, the rev share is really what I like to call it. That's what people call it. If you say be my affiliate, they're like, I don't know about that. But if you say we're interested in a revenue sharing arrangement, and you will mail for us, and then maybe we will mail for you, now you've got them on the hook. They're like, maybe that would work for us. So the formula is real simple. It's good offer, things that people are buying, right list, simple funnel. Simple funnel. You don't need a big fancy funnel, and some follow-ups. And let me just say something about the follow-ups too, because it's like really got to get this. Like I said, most people don't do any follow-ups. Some people do 1 or 2. But most people don't do any. We see people building lists. If all you have is 2 or 3 follow-ups, or, you know, try to write 5, right? If you can write 4 or 5 follow-ups, you'll double the response of your competitor who has none or 1. Even if it's not that great a follow-up, even if it's just a reminder to go back to the sales page. Okay. So this system that we've developed over these years, over 2 decades, that Tim and I have created, have really solidified, does it work in real life? And the answer is yeah, it really works in real life. Tim and I just launched a new startup in the weight loss niche. And we didn't even have a product when we began. We created a super simple sales funnel, self-liquidating, right? Drive the traffic into Squeeze, drive Squeeze into sales page. We promoted an affiliate product just to test the marketplace and build the list. And then we created this funnel. So yes, it works in real life. And we did these 16 case studies, and they were like pretty awesome, actually. We tested all kinds of squeeze pages and headlines and you name it, all kinds of different variables, because that stuff's really important. And we tested different kinds of email ads, standalones or solos, and we started with sponsorships, which are usually just a little banner ad, or text ads, and we tested all kinds of stuff. And you'll never believe what happened. Well, you probably will. It was the birth of our empire. From these 16 campaigns, this brand new company was born. So I want to go over the numbers real briefly. We spent $7,500 on email tests, and we made over $12,000 in revenue. But I want to clarify something. We didn't pull $7,500 out of our pocket and hand it to someone and then wait around for the 12 grand to come in. We used the self-liquidating offer. So I think the most out of pocket we ever were was $400 or $500 at the very most. And the best part about that was not only the profit, it's that off of these 16 case studies, and we've done a lot of case studies since then, and we've really started to grow this puppy, but on these 16 case studies, when we added it all up, we got 4,532 hot, fresh, totally exclusive leads to follow up with. I find this to be prospecting and list building at its best, because not only do you get all the data, you also get paid to build your list. So Ryan had said that we have a way to go deeper with email marketing. So far we've talked about the self-liquidating offer and the 3-pillar strategy. And we talked about how we find lists and develop relationships. And we also talked about how we get risk-free traffic. So by now you're probably thinking one of 3 things. For some of you guys, the information we've presented is enough to get you going. For some people, growing your business really big, really fast would just be too much right now. I'm not being sarcastic or facetious. I'm the guy, I live in Hawaii, man. I don't like to work very hard, you know. I like to take vacation. I took a 4-year vacation, so I get that. But I'm thinking that most people want to get in on this. You want to get in on email marketing. You want a proven plan, and you want a mentor who you can turn to if you get stuck. So with your permission, Tim and I'm going to turn it over to him in just a sec. We're going to share with you the all-new Email Traffic Academy. Once we got all these case studies and stuff, we sat down and we realized there's just no one else teaching this stuff. Most people, like I said before, they don't even acknowledge that it exists. So we thought we could either keep this juicy stuff to ourselves, or we could aggregate the entire thing into a course that helps you skip the learning curve and helps you start making money. So our goal is to get you going with email traffic and to do it the right way. This is a course I'd recommend to my own mom. If my mom called me and said, I want to get into email marketing and I want to start doing email drops and list rentals, I would send her to this course. I created it so that my mom would get it, actually. You know, I really believe in it. It's probably the most important information we've ever put out. And I believe in it 100%. Tim, are you there?
Yeah, I am here. So yeah, you know, the main thing is Jonathan and I have documented the system that we've been using ourselves for our Email Traffic Academy members, as Jonathan was saying, so they can just follow along and do the same thing just like we're doing. You know, there's no one thing that's particularly hard. It's just a series of steps to follow. From the types of emails we use to get prospects to respond, to the squeeze pages and landing pages we use, to the the funnels we use, how we craft our follow-up messages, how we test and track our results, and all the details in between. And that's all what leads up to how to scale up and how we set up these risk-free arrangements with list owners. Now, one thing I want to stress is that since we were just testing out this new niche, we started out by promoting related affiliate program products, and the results are what's shown in our 16 case studies. So we didn't have any extra advantage when we started doing this over anybody listening on this call. There's nothing proprietary or tricky or hard about what we've done and what we're showing our members. It's all very doable when you follow the system that we've laid out. Now, we worked really hard to make this training easy to understand, easy enough for Jonathan's mom to understand if necessary, so you can start using it right away. There's 8 what we call core modules that explain the system that we use, and it's all designed to be quick to take in and start using. You know, when needed, we've got short video demos that show how certain interfaces work, and I'll explain more about that in a minute. Then there's the 16 case studies where we spend about $7,500 total running real tests. And remember, as Jonathan said, since our funnel was self-liquidating, we weren't spending that money out of our pocket. It was really just a few $100 up front to get the ball rolling. And we've even got some bonuses for our members, like interviews with other email marketing experts that we think you're going to find really useful. And there's a lot of great stuff in the 8 core modules, more than I can list here. I mean, it shows you how to find hot, untapped email lists for you to promote based on your niche. That's obviously hugely important. And you'll find out how we do that, how to negotiate from a position of strength so you're not overpaying for anything when you're running these tests. I already mentioned that we're showing you our actual best responsive ads and funnels, as well as the specific language that we use to get the click and to get those conversions, and also how to stay legal and compliant, which isn't hard when you know how to do it. You just need to know how to do it, and how to get started from the beginning all the way up to scaling up really big. So the core modules give you everything you need to get started, and from there it's time to put it into action. And that's why our case studies are great, because they apply our system. You know, they show you how to model what you're doing after them and know what to expect when you start applying this to the real world yourself. And they give you the tools to keep you on the right track as you get going. And with the benefit of all of our case study results, I mean, really, you're better off starting off than we were, because you'll have this to follow as a guideline. You know, with these case studies, it's almost like you're a silent partner in this business. You know, you get to see our results, even though we're the ones who are spending the money. So the case studies are really awesome. All right, so you're probably wondering, how much is this going to cost? You know, we struggled with this ourselves. On one hand, our top consulting clients have paid a bare minimum of over $5,000 for this training on a consulting basis. And they've gone on to earn millions of dollars selling products and services in dozens of niches. So we want to be fair to them. But at the same time, email marketing is a big ocean to swim in. There's a lot of opportunity, and we do want to help our customers and members to profit from what we've learned and what we're doing right now. So with all that factored in, Jonathan and I feel that a fair price is $2,000. You know, you're going to be getting the whole shebang. We're not holding anything back. Detailed examples, screenshots of actual campaigns, video training, our personal follow-up strategy, how to get list owners coming to you wanting to promote you. In fact, we're going to give you the actual email that we send out to list owners that we want to work with. So you can just model your own emails after ours. We've got our favorite list of networks and email traffic sources, of course, how to work with internet marketing super affiliates, the biggest mistakes people make when they use funnels and how you can avoid them, how to create audience-tailored messages, how to make sure you're not missing people on mobile, teaser emails that get the click, how to remarket to your subscriber list, you know, on and on and on. You're going to get it all. And this is a huge deal. We're also going to include active coaching as a bonus at no extra charge. I mean, look, once you're part of our Email Traffic Academy, you're in our inner circle, and we want to help you. So Jonathan and I are personally going to answer all your questions, clear up any confusion, and steer you in the right direction and give you our personal recommendations. And it all takes place inside the Email Traffic Academy member site. You'll be in there with us and a strong group of like-minded marketers all working toward the same goal. And, you know, even if you don't have questions of your own, you can benefit from the responses that other members ask and just read the answers that we give them. So it's just a huge benefit. I mean, this isn't theoretical stuff. It's a nuts and bolts process that we can help walk you through and apply to your own business. We want to turn you into an email marketing expert capable of generating massive amounts of traffic regardless of your niche, and we're serious about our responsibility to you. Look, we know this really works. We know it's the real deal. We know we can help you with it. It's working for us right now, and we know we can help you get started doing it too. That's why we're offering this active coaching that we're doing. Taking all our members to the next level is really important to us. That's why we want to make sure that we give everyone our full attention, and we want to stay really focused. So we do have to limit registration to just 100 new members so we can focus on those new members and give them the attention that they deserve. And we really hope that you are one of them. Now, we want this to be accessible to everyone on the call who is ready to start now. We don't want money to be an issue. We know $2,000 is too much for some people, and we have a special relationship with Ryan, and we want to help out his people. That's why we've lowered the price by 75% for a total cost of just $499 for people on this call, which is a small investment to start growing your business with this proven system. Plus, there's a special bonus just for you guys that we're going to tell you about at the end of the webinar. You know, we're not here trying to sell you something. We're inviting you to be a member of our inner circle, a member of the Email Traffic Academy. We're going to be personally answering your questions and guiding you as you move forward. So we want motivated, positive people who are excited about this. I mean, we think it's the most exciting and profitable way to get traffic, period. You know, it worked for us 15 years ago. It's still working now, and it's going to keep working. So it's one of the only evergreen traffic sources that's worth figuring out how to get right. So you can register right now at emailtrafficacademy.com/join. That's emailtrafficacademy.com/join. And you get instant access to all the training, our recommended email sources, our strategies, all the modules, the case studies, some bonus interviews that you're really going to love, and of course the biggie, active coaching with Jonathan and myself personally through the Q&A inside the members area. And we're only taking 100 new members. That is totally real, due to the extra work that it takes to answer the questions of each new member. So you can just go to that link and sign up. So that's the deal. That's how you can get started right away. Go there and register now. And we're going to continue on for a bit here and go to answer some of the questions that we got from you guys earlier. So Jonathan, if you're ready, I'm going to start going through the questions that I've been collecting. Are you ready for that?
I am. I want to do one little thing first. I want to actually go to the join page so people can see what we've done. So you can see the countdown timer right here. I hope you can see it. And then we've got a couple of payment options right here. We've got a full pay option, and then Tim and I decided to add a 2-pay option because, again, we really want this to be affordable for you guys. When you click on one of the options, it'll take you to the order form. Here's what the order form looks like. Just want to make sure you can see. This is how you know you're at the right place. And this goes over the whole offer, and you enter in all your information there. And we even take PayPal now. So if that's going to help you out, make this easier for you, just want to make sure you know that that is an option that's available. And I think we're totally ready to go over the questions.
Okay, awesome. Well, first of all, several people have asked if there's going to be a replay of the webinar, and I can answer that. The answer is yes. Like I said, assuming that there aren't any horrible tech crashes that prevent that from happening. We'll send out a replay link later today, but we are just getting to some good stuff with this Q&A and, of course, talking about the deep funnel survey, and that may or may, well, hopefully we'll get that on the replay, but if you're listening to this live, definitely make sure you stick around to make sure you catch all that. Did we just lose Jonathan? Is this screen looking blank to you guys? Did we lose him?
Yeah, Jonathan's screen is turned black at the moment for me, although there is a cursor on it.
Well, isn't that nice? Well, hold on just a sec. Let me see what we can pull off here. Well, you gotta love the glitches, huh? Well, hold on. I do have that list of questions to get to, so we can.
Why don't you, Tim? Why don't you try to see if we can get Jonathan back on, and I'll just say a few things about the deep dive survey, which we're going to get to in just a moment. I know one of the things, if you're listening to this and you're wondering, well, how does this all kind of tie into the ASK formula? You might have read the book Ask. You might be in my Next Level Marketing Mastermind, and you might be really interested in applying the ASK formula. Well, the reason why I invited Jonathan on, and I brought this up a few times, but if you're joining us kind of midway through, is that one of the challenges of the ASK formula is getting that deep dive market research to understand your market and figure out what products to sell, how to position those markets, and how to speak to your audience if you don't already have an existing list. People said, yeah, this is great. I can send an email if I had a list. What if I don't have a list? And I only briefly touched on that topic in the book. And I forget what page exactly, but there's a page in the book where I touch on it. But I could have invested an entire chapter of the book on that very topic. And it's one of the biggest questions I've been getting. And so to understand a bit of the history, and I mentioned this in some of the videos that I shared over the past couple weeks, I asked the man himself, Jonathan, I said, hey, Jonathan, why don't we kind of do a case study? Let's do a case study. Let's pretend we're getting into a new market. We have no list. We've got a small budget. We don't have a lot of money to play around with, and we want to get that initial deep dive survey data. And the reason why I bring that up is in a moment here, when we bring Jonathan back on, we are going to share that deep dive survey data. Awesome.
Access.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Boy, sorry about that. It spoke too soon when I said the hurricane was not going to affect us.
Well, you obviously jinxed it. That was just clear.
I will never do that again.
Well, while you were gone, Ryan was talking about what's coming up with the deep survey funnel. So I was just asking you before you got bored with this and decided to unplug. No, I'm just kidding. One of the next questions, which you probably didn't even hear, which was we've got a question of how much money is needed to start up with this.
Okay. So, first of all, if you're running a rev share type of program, if you've got some sort of rev share partnership, or you've created a list mastermind, it shouldn't cost you anything. A lot of these are going to be relationships that are like joint venture relationships. But again, it's going to really depend on your niche and what you're trying to sell. B2B lists are going to be a bit more expensive. You might have to spend $500 to a little bit more, right? Maybe even a topical list might have $1,000 as a minimum. Some of the consumer lists are going to be a little bit less. I know in the course we've got for business, for survival, for some of the brokers that we have, business opportunities, things like that, a lot of those guys have lists available for a few $100s. So it shouldn't cost you very much money, and a lot of the lists are available on a CPC basis as well. So I would realistically say you might want to put $500 aside for traffic. If you are in a very, very hard to target niche, it might cost you a little more. But I know that for consumer marketers, which is a lot of people that we work with, we've seen very, very low costs. In fact, in the course, the #1 network that we use, you can usually get started with them for a few $100, but if you use the same ad that we did, it's like, I think, $395. So, cost should not be a big issue for you if you've got a funnel and something worth promoting.
Cool. You had really briefly mentioned that you have an Amazon store, and so several people asked if the Email Traffic Academy can be applied for Amazon products or physical products like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the course we talked about this extensively inside the coaching area, and so because a lot of people who have picked up the ASM course or they've started Amazon courses have been really attracted to using this system to get the right kind of traffic to Amazon. One thing I will really stress is that Amazon's algorithm, the algorithm that gets them to give you free traffic from Amazon, is almost completely based on your conversion rate. There's other stuff too, your reviews and whether you have products in stock, things like that. But conversion rate, visitor value is huge. So what we found is taking sometimes the same offer on Amazon versus off Amazon. We've seen Amazon's conversion rate, at 8, 10. When we run it through a real strong funnel, we've seen conversion rates as much as 15, 20%. So email traffic being that qualified, that good, really gives you not only a lot of sales, but it gives you a boost in the Amazon algorithm. And in fact, we're going to be bringing that up, big over the next couple of months, and we are personally going to be using email traffic almost exclusively to really jumpstart this new Amazon store that we're just about to launch.
Awesome. A couple questions just regarding what we're providing in the Email Traffic Academy. One question is, will you help me find list brokers to get email lists from? And kind of not exactly in the same, but I thought I'd lump them together, is asking about if we're going to give specific recommendations for finding what tools to use and how to do the nuts and bolts, products that you use to put these things together.
Right. Well, yes, we are, and we also show you the tools that we have used for our own case study. Let's take the second one first. This is fairly simple stuff. You send an email, you get some traffic. It goes into your funnel and your process. So I had mentioned if you have existing funnels and a process that you've built for other kinds of traffic, it's quite easy to just run email traffic to it. You don't even have this. You don't even need the same level of tracking actually, because you don't have keywords and things like that. Usually you're just doing split tests on different types of creative, and we show a lot in the course of different split test offers, a lot of really surprising stuff actually. So we go into what we've used, and we generally like to keep things quite simple in order to get the real data, especially when we do things like deep dives or surveys. And what was that? First, will we help you find email brokers? Yeah, we absolutely will. Now, I'm a big fan, and I know Ryan is too, of teaching people how to fish because, if I get hit by a bus, then you actually know how to fish. Not that I'm planning on any of that stuff, but if you need help, like with a specific thing, like the woman who asked us for help with the architect, or we had another guy who wanted to reach human resources directors. We'll go out and we'll do some searching for you. We'll look through our own Rolodex and we'll try to find someone for you who can actually help you. So if you want us to catch the fish and then clean it and cook it and put it on a plate, we'll do that too. So we'll take it any way that you want to do it. We are here to help.
Awesome. Another question along with, I guess, wanting more help and wanting to know what we provide. It says, I haven't really done paid marketing before. I'm a bit concerned about writing effective emails and sales funnels. I have trainings for that, but not experience, so I'd want to do small campaigns since I have a limited budget.
We absolutely recommend starting small. And I want to stress something, and that is that we have, I like to think that we have uncomplicated the process. There's a lot of talk about funnels these days, and everyone's talking about upsells and downsells and backsells and cross-sells and this pop and this squeeze and all that stuff. And when we get started, and when we recommend you get started, we recommend you keep it simple. We talked about it in the self-liquidating funnel. Add to squeeze, squeeze to sales page, make some money, reinvest. If there's a problem with that process, you just go back to the, look, if your squeeze page opt-in is not very high, you probably want to test a couple of different versions of that. We show you how to do that. I think in one of our examples, we even give a 10 or 12 part squeeze page split test. It's kind of complex that we've shown you, but that's like not what we start with. We always start with the simple stuff. So yeah, we recommend starting small, and we show you how to actually ramp it up in such a way that you're not overcomplicating the process. And we use tools. We don't have a bunch of developers or anything like that. I mean, we do have a couple developers, but we don't use them for our funnels. We mostly just use tools like Lead Pages and Aweber and OptimizePress, things like that.
Cool. I got a question from Pam. You had mentioned early in the webinar about remarketing. She wasn't clear on what remarketing was. Maybe you could explain that real quickly, and maybe talk about Facebook remarketing, since that's one of the easier and also most effective ways to do remarketing.
Okay, for sure. So I used to call remarketing the stalker banner ads, that when you'd visit a website, they would follow you around the web and try to get you to go back. That was kind of the old school of remarketing, and it was a little creepy, actually. Facebook came along and they really created a process where that's easy. So everyone on this call, in fact, should, if you're on Facebook, should see our ads, tomorrow or the next day, whenever we start running those. What we do and what we show people how to do in the course is you take your email list that you collect, or there's a couple of different ways to do it, but the email list is the easiest. You take that list, you actually upload it to Facebook as a custom audience. And then that audience is what you target with your remarketing. So the idea with remarketing is that people sometimes need different, they need different messages to come in different ways at different times. And if someone gets an email from you and then maybe they go to a webinar or something like that, or they go to your sales page, or they go to your squeeze page, or they look at one of your products and they don't buy, now you can go ahead and start remarketing to them. And the Facebook remarketing is basically just an ad to try to get them back. So that ad generally goes back to a sales page, or maybe it goes back to a squeeze page if they didn't opt in. Very, very simple. I'm pretty sure that the Facebook interface is now accessible to, I think it's accessible to everybody. Facebook opened up this remarketing thing a while back. We give complete instructions on how that's done in the course. We show you where to upload the list and how to actually create that remarketing campaign.
Awesome. We got a couple of quick questions. I'm going to try to jump through real quick. Fatima asked, does our course include the scripts for reaching out to prospective email partners? And we actually do better than that. We give out our actual email that we use to send out to people that we want to work with. So you can just literally take what we send out and tailor it to your own purposes. It's a proven formula, and you can just take that, which is really awesome. A couple other real quick questions was, do people receive all the content at once for the Email Traffic Academy, or is it drip fed? And the answer to that is you get everything immediately, even if you do that to pay. It's not like if you do the half now and half in 30 days option, it's not like you only get half the training now and you have to wait to get the rest. So you can get it all. We obviously recommend that you go through everything and let it sink in. But if you want to go burn through everything like your favorite Netflix series, you can do that. So that's all there. And yeah, and binge watch it, yeah. And other quick question, it was just how long is the Email Traffic Academy member site and info going to be available? And, that's a great question. I mean, this is really evergreen training. This is going to be valid for a long time, so it's going to be up for as long as it's helpful. And, if we wanted to give an official number, say it's going to be available for at least 2 years, and it certainly will likely be available a lot longer than that. And any updates and bonuses that we add as we go along are just going to be added, and whoever's in now is going to get it for free regardless of what the price winds up being in the future or how much we add. So it's going to be available for a long time, but we're going to say officially at least 2 years. Okay, next question. Does Email Traffic Academy help for affiliate marketers? And I'll point out on that our 16 case studies were actually done promoting affiliate products. So the short answer is absolutely yes. Jonathan, what would you add to that?
I would agree 100%. Yeah, we always start with an affiliate product if we don't have our own product, just to mainly see what's selling, and also find our future joint venture partners, right?
Exactly. Okay, and let's see what else we got. I want to try to get these questions wrapped up pretty soon because we want to get to that the really interesting deep dive survey. Hey, I was just pulling up the stats, and we see that we've got a bunch of people that have already joined. Thanks, guys. Mark, Elizabeth, Patrick, Pamela, welcome you guys. Adrian, Charles, David, Jason, Simon, awesome, you guys. We are really looking forward to seeing you guys and working with you in the members area. That is just awesome, and we haven't even finished yet. Great. So let's see, wrap up a couple more here, and then it probably would be a really good idea to get to that, the whole thing everybody's waiting for. Okay, here's a question. Did you start off doing small tests? Can you start off doing small tests like $100 to $200 per mailing to see if your offer works for that specific traffic source?
Again, you know, the answer is yes. Or maybe if you have approached people in your niche, maybe you don't even have to pay that. Maybe you just you know, offer to pay a commission on sales after the fact. But you know, it's going to really depend on what you're trying to sell. If there's not a lot of lists available, then you know you might have to pay $500, or could even have to pay a little bit more. The brokers that we recommend, the networks that we recommend, almost every single one of them has an under $500 option, and some have an option that's just, you know, $150, $200. So the answer is yes, and again, that's what we recommend.
Awesome. And maybe we could just, maybe if it's okay with you, we'll make this next question the last one so we can get to that the exciting part about the deep dive case study.
Yeah, let's do that for sure.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to let time get away from us here. So the next question is, how easy is it to scale up?
So let's assuming that we're in a scalable niche and we're not like doing the model train thing and we're going to run out of customers, you know, because there's only a few of them. But assuming that there's in a scalable niche, we've seen a lot of scalability. I won't say his name, but I know Ryan knows who he is. He's a email marketer, been one of our students and clients for many, many years. He ended up going from really nothing to, and just using paid email drops, up to about you know, almost $20 million in a couple of years selling nutritional supplements. And actually, I see a lot of people selling stuff, you know, really rolling out and ramping up big. We have another student, a guy in the, he's a new age publisher is all I can say, and he sells stuff like numerology and law of attraction and manifestation. And first of all, I had no idea how big that niche was. I mean, it's unbelievable. But, you know, you take a law of attraction list, and his point was, he said, I can mail this offer to just about any consumer list out there. I could mail this to a weight loss list, and I can make money with it. So, again, big appeal, totally and completely scalable. And then some of the most exciting things I see are when we have people who are small. We had an Amazon publisher. She was doing okay. I think her list when she started the course was maybe under 100 people, and she was doing okay, selling her Kindle books and stuff. Literally used the process to create a tribe of people. Now she's got thousands of people on her list, and she's actually been able to create a replacement income for herself. That's probably the more exciting for me. I mean, it's easy to throw around big numbers and $1 million here and $5 million there and all that stuff, but I like to see people who have gone from nothing to something. And I've seen that in dating and supplements and self-help and, you know, you name a niche, survival and Forex. If you've seen it out there in your inbox, I've probably seen it from the other side working. So again, scalable niche, totally possible.
All right,
so
awesome.
I think we should get to that. I think we should get to that deep dive.
Yeah, we ready for that? You know, we obviously questions keep coming in, but I think this is really important, and obviously a lot of everybody on the call is waiting for it. The deep dive case study. Ryan, you there?
I'd love to dive right in. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Okay, so a couple months back, Ryan and I were talking, and he gave me a challenge. And he wanted to know if I'd ever run a deep dive survey to a rented commercial list. And we're not talking about my own list or something like that, some list that I, you know, have access to. We're talking a list of people who don't know me. we'll just call them strangers, right? Because that's really what they are. They don't know me, and the network, knows me as a marketer. But this is totally as cold traffic as you can get. And I told him that not only can you, but I do it all the time, and it's extremely easy. So I want to go through the process real briefly, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ryan. We ran an ad in one of our commercial list networks that we know. And in this case, you can see this graphic here. This is the email that, that actually got sent out. And in this case, we used a banner ad. So it's an email newsletter that you can run a banner ad. And you can also run a text ad. There's a lot of different ad units that you can run. But we liked the banner ad because it's really similar to what we have used ourselves. And also I'm in the health niche myself. So we took this banner and we ran this banner inside this email newsletter, and we drove the traffic straight into the deep dive survey. And I'm going to let Ryan talk a little bit about the deep dive.
Yeah, so just to make sure that this is crystal clear, again, we said we created a situation. We said, let's pretend we're breaking into this market, a new market for the first time. We've got no list. We've got the ask formula. We've got the book in our hands. And we want to gather that critical market intelligence that we know is so important so that we can understand what this market wants. And we sent that email, as Jonathan mentioned, and we just paid to put a little banner in someone else's email list just to see with real data how this would work. And you saw the banner. What you're looking at now is the actual page that we sent people to. So just like I talked about in the book, we actually sent people to a Survey Gizmo page. What you see here is just a Survey Gizmo allows you to use these kind of standard templates to make the look and feel of the survey look a certain way. Like I talked about, we threw it out with a softball question first, asking if someone is a man or a woman, asking their gender to kind of build up that action-taking momentum, and started with this. Then if you go to the next slide, we followed that up with the single most important question. So we asked, when it comes to losing weight, what's your single biggest challenge that you're facing right now? Please feel free to be as detailed and write as much as you'd like, because we promise to read every word of your response. So we got that single most important question, and then, next screen, we asked for their name, email, and phone, just like I teach. So one question, we asked their gender to get the action-taking momentum, the single most important question. Then we asked for their contact information, asked for their name, email, and their phone number. And then if you go to the next page, on the thank you page, we did something that Jonathan teaches, which is we said, because we paid a little bit of money, and we'll go through the exact numbers in just a moment, paid a little bit of money to run that email ad to acquire the data. It came in within a matter of hours. So instead of waiting weeks or months or building up your list over time, we had our data literally that day. And on the thank you page, we said, well, what if we try to put an offer on the thank you page to try to help self-liquidate to pay for our costs of running the survey? And we said, well, we don't have a product because this is a new market that we haven't gone into. So we decided, well, let's just sell someone else's product. Let's sign up as an affiliate to promote somebody else's product on the thank you page, and we positioned it in a very specific way to see if people would actually take us up. And here are the results. Go to the next page.
So I want to stress something else. We didn't do anything remarkable here. This is almost textbook Ryan's deep dive case study. I mean, we didn't have a special funnel that we built because we wanted to see if it was really possible to do it the easy way, right? If we just sent this traffic straight from the ad into the deep dive, and absolutely it freaking worked. It worked like crazy. So let me go over some of the details. We chose this list because of its size. We had almost 900,000 pieces go out. The demographics were great, and we also liked the scalability. I think the price was just $395. One other thing, I've run to this list many different times, and I've run the same offer, so I know that we can now go back to it after we collect this data, use that data in our future marketing. We chose this self-liquidating offer for a couple reasons as well. One, it's a top ClickBank product. It's called Venus Factor. Some of you guys have heard about it. You probably recognize it on the page there. We have promoted this, and we actually use that in our case studies in the Email Traffic Academy. So I know that that offer converts, and I know it converts well with this audience. Now, there's something else that's really great. Ryan and I, when we were like looking at these stats, like we were both, you know, surprised and delighted, and that is the total cost per survey, completed survey, was about $2.85. I think it actually came to a little bit less. I haven't looked at the data yet, but I asked Ryan, I'm like, Ryan, what do people normally pay? And I mean, what did you say, Ryan? Like 5, 6, sometimes $10 per?
Oh yeah, it depends on the market that you're in, and it depends. Usually, if you're thinking about starting a new campaign, like I'm going to try running some Facebook ads to a deep dive survey, which is great. You can definitely do that. Or I want to run Google AdWords to a deep dive survey. You can definitely do that. But the problem is that initially it's going to cost you a lot because you're in that optimization mode, and you really got to kind of dial things in and kind of get things going. This way, right out of the gate, first cut, I mean, we literally spent an hour brainstorming the strategy, and I think like a couple hours writing the email, reaching out to the list, and getting the ad put in, and creating the survey in Survey Gizmo, and like we had our data within, like I said, after the email sent, within hours, and from start to finish, within days, like that week, essentially.
Yeah, and like more than half of the responses came in even on the first day. It was remarkable to watch. And can you talk a little bit about the data? I mean, this wasn't just like yay, nay, man, woman
totally.
data. I mean, there was some good data there.
Oh, totally. I mean, we got, here's what's amazing. So you might be wondering, okay, well, what's the, this is great. And is there another slide that we have some, or do you want me to get into this first? I feel like there's at least
there you go.
Yeah, cool. So here's the thing. So we had well over 100 survey responses, like several hundred, I believe. Of those people, 74 provided their full contact information and added themselves to our list. So we built a list, small list, but when you think about the cost for a few $100s, we picked up 74 people onto the list. And we generated over $100 in sales just throwing up an affiliate offer, like no positioning, nothing. We just like, all right, on the thank you page, instead of sending people to a page that said, thank you for filling out the survey, that's it. We said, thank you for filling out the survey, click on this link to get access to a special offer we want to make available to you today. So we were we weren't able to quite self-liquidate it to get the survey results for free, but I mean, saving $100 off the cost of the ad, and that was our first cut out of the gate. And we know, because of the size of this list, only a tiny fraction of that list actually saw this ad. We're gonna, if we were gonna pursue this fully, we could go out to the same list again, change the ad, get more survey responses. And here's the best part. Here's what's amazing about this strategy. You might be wondering, well, so you get this survey data, which is amazing, from this particular audience. Well, what do you do next? Well, the next step, because we know what this audience wants, what their problems are, what their challenges are, we know that if we go to this list and create a product, create an offer that addresses the problem that we just figured out from the survey is what people are struggling with, we know with confidence that we are going to successfully sell that offer. And here's the cool thing. This is just one list. So this could be literally as simple as lather, rinse, repeat. Now you might be wondering, these are small numbers. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal, you remember what Jonathan said at the beginning of the webinar, the beginning of the training, where he said he had a list and lived on the residual income just by mailing out offers to that list every single month, well, what happens is we've already started the process of building our list of buyers. So not only are we getting the survey data, not only are we basically getting that survey data almost for free, which is impossible with any other strategy that I've ever tried, but on top of that, we're also building a list of buyers that we can sell more and more stuff to. This is one of the savviest, most straightforward strategies for getting that Ask Formula Deep Dive survey data, building your list, building your audience, and building basically a business whilst getting market intelligence at the same time. So
that's right. Yeah, it's very, and it's very straightforward. This is not, a big complicated process. This is buy ad, send to deep dive, and then run offer at the end. If we had run a less expensive, like a $5 or $10 offer, something that really was self-liquidating, I think we probably would have built even a bigger list and made even more money. But this was just our first shot, right?
Right. This is our first shot of the game. So here's what we're going to do. So for anybody, I said, Jonathan, what we really need to do, let's go deep. Because I know people see this and it's like, okay, cool, like, yeah, I get it on the surface, but what you really want, probably if you're like me, you want to know exactly what to write in your email that you send out to the people who own this list. Like, you don't want to look like an idiot or like a newbie when you send out an email that you use language where people sniff you from a mile away and realize, oh, this person's never done this before, let me see if I can take advantage of them. No, you want to give the impression that you know what you're doing so that people treat you and take you seriously. So there's some nuance to that. There's some specific languaging that you exactly want to use and don't want to use. Then if you potentially get on the phone to try to negotiate a better deal, there's certain things that you want to say, certain ways that you want to approach these list owners specifically when you're running one of these surveys. So I said, well, Jonathan, I know this isn't something that you normally cover in your training, but let's do this. For anybody who invests in your Email Traffic Academy training, your full program that goes above and beyond just running surveys. So this goes into everything you need to know to use email as a traffic source in your business. For anybody who invests in that today, let's do a special bonus training. It'll be you and me, and we will go through this case study and the process in more detail. We'll walk through how you select the actual list that you're going to choose to run the survey. We'll go through exactly what to say, what not to say, the exact templates. We'll go through, we talked about, we did this once, we made a ton of mistakes, but we'll go through what we're doing the next time, how we're tweaking it so you can learn from our mistakes. If you think about that, that alone is worth the price of admission. We spent $400 to run this banner ad in the email. You're going to learn from the mistakes that we made so you don't have to waste $400. So that in and of itself practically covers the cost, the investment in the training. So I haven't been looking at the slides here, but we'll talk about the list, the name of the list that we rented. Go back one slide. Oh, if you can. Yeah, the name that we listed, how to approach other lists, what we do differently, and then, yeah, exactly, some of the additional traffic sources. But here's the deal. We are going to be hosting this training live. I have it on my calendar. Bear with me. I'm going to look it up right now. It is going to be next Thursday on August 27th. Okay? This training is next Thursday, August 27th, and so therefore, we're holding this opportunity open to get access to this bonus training and invest in the Email Traffic Academy training until next Tuesday, August 25th. Okay? That is the absolute last day. We need everybody in, and the reason for that is on the 26th, we're going to email everybody who came in. We're going to email the details to sign up for that bonus training that Jonathan and I are going to do live. It'll be recorded if you happen to not be able to make the live time, so don't worry about it. But we're going to ask for your questions in advance to make sure that we cover what your specific questions are on that call. If you're on the call live, you'll be able to ask your questions live with us, and this is special. This is only for you on this webinar right now. So what my recommendation is, if this is something that you're interested, if you think that there's a place for this in your business, take advantage of this now. So the link, I think, is emailtrafficacademy.com/join. Do it now while this is in front of you. Just click on the link. fill in your information. I know what it's like. I've said this before. The last thing that you want to have happen is life gets in the way, your kids come from home from school this afternoon, you get caught up in something else, and you forget. And then you hear about people talking about it online. If you're in the Next Level Mastermind, you hear about people talking about it in the group, and you say, oh crap, I missed the deadline, and you're missing out. And people know this about me, that when we say a deadline publicly, I stick to it. Like my word is my bond. And when I say that there's a deadline, I mean it, because it's only fair to all the people who have already taken action today and are already going to join us. So, and I know some of you guys joined before we even mentioned this bonus training, so you're probably like, yeah, this is awesome. This is like an extra surprise that you didn't know was going to happen. So I'm super stoked about this. But the absolute last day, if you're driving in the car, you're not in a position to fill out the order form right here, right now, remember the absolute last day is Tuesday, August 25th at midnight. That's midnight Pacific time on Tuesday, August 25th. And then on August 27th, we're going to be doing this super duper bonus training on how to do that
unmuted
on a deep dive survey using someone else's list. So that way you can get all that data even if you don't have a list of your own. So that's
right. And I should also say, too, and this is very important, that this is a big webinar, and there are a lot of people who are going to see this. And if we reach 100 people, which we are, that is a hard limit, we will close it down before the 25th. So now is the time to take advantage of this, to get the bonus, to get the course, to get the case studies, the training, the active coaching bonus. Now is the time before we sell out, and certainly before the end of the deadline, so that you can get in on the deep dive bonus that we're going to be doing next Thursday, the 27th. So I can't stress that enough. If we sell out sooner, then the offer will be closed, and I don't even know when we're going to reopen again.
Yeah. No, and there's a good chance we might. I mean, at the peak, we had over 300 people here live. We had over 1,000 people sign up for this training. And I know a lot of those people are in Australia, parts of Asia, where the time they were hoping, crossing their fingers that there'd be a replay. I'm not making those numbers up. We literally have over 1,000 people registered. 304 people, I think, at the peak. I pasted a screenshot in the Next Level Mastermind because people were asking how many were on the webinar, and we still have over 150-something people who are still on now, an hour and 45 minutes later. So there is a realistic chance that we might fill those 100 spots. I would hate for you to miss out. If you're thinking to yourself, you want to execute the ask formula, you believe in getting that deep dive survey data, that's what you need. You know that if you know what your market wants, if you figure out what they really want to buy, everything falls from there. You know exactly what to sell. You know exactly how to speak to them. You don't have to make anything up. It's really as simple as asking people what they want and giving it to them. If you know that, you believe that, but the one thing that's held you back is the fact that you don't have a list, this is the solution. I'm telling you right now, if I had to start over from scratch and I had to use the ask formula to get things going with no assets, no resources, I had $500 to my name, this is exactly what I do. I'd invest that $500, buy a solo ad on someone's list, like the list that we did for this deep dive case study. I'd run my deep dive survey, send to an affiliate offer, try to self-liquidate it, try to recover as much of that $500 as I could. And with my list, I'd sell them something else until I was back to break even. I got my $500 back, and I'd lather, rinse, repeat. And I would do that building my list 100 people at a time, 100, 200, 300, 400, eventually 1,000, every single time taking that initial $500 bet, reinvesting it back into the business, and all the while I'm building up my list of buyers. I've got my buyers that I can sell more products, more services to. And over time, I'd have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people, all starting from that one $500 investment. And so this is the process. If you're starting from scratch, this is exactly what Ryan would do. It's exactly what I would do. And
it's what we did.
I recommend it. Yeah.
It's what we did. I mean, I said it during the presentation, but I want you to know, the very first thing we did when we decided to go into this new niche is we ran a survey. We were like, what do these people want? What are these people looking for? What words, what phrases, what language makes them move? What are their fears? What are their hopes, their dreams, their desires? That's the stuff that you find out in the deep dive survey, and that's the stuff that becomes the foundation for your entire business for the rest of that business's life, because it's what everything else is built upon, what the customer really wants. And the way you find out what they want is you ask them.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Okay.
Good. Well, listen, is there anything else that we did not cover that we should have covered before we wrap things up?
Tim, anything that you can think of?
No, I'm you know, the bonus that's being added is awesome. Looking forward to you know, seeing that myself. We're getting a bunch of people who have signed up since I mentioned it before. You know, welcome guys. Mike, welcome aboard. Debbie, Shelly, Don. We're really looking forward to working with you guys in the members area. Janet, Tom. I mean, we're really. I don't blame people for wanting to be in on this, and we look forward to having you guys. So I think you really spelled out the deal about next Thursday, and then everybody needs to be in by the 25th at the very latest, assuming we don't shut down at the 100. And you know, we don't want this to be goodbye. We look forward to seeing you guys inside, and I think we've covered it. This was really awesome, and Ryan, you are awesome, and glad to have had you on the call and have you participating with your bonus and everything. Great.
Thank you guys so much.
I super appreciate it. And everybody who's here, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you walked away with, if nothing more than a few bite-sized pieces of information that you've been thinking about, applying in your business, ways that you can accelerate your business and take your business to the next level. With that being said, Jonathan, Tim, thank you guys so much for being here. Everybody have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week, and I will see you soon. Take care.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ryan. We're so honored to do this, and we're looking forward to working with you guys in the site. You guys have a great one, and aloha.
Awesome.